Our next speaker is Sana Sathaye. Ever smiling and energizing positivity are the words that best describe Sana. An undergraduate student at Drexel University aspiring to become a physician's assistant, Sana has showcased her passion for compassion through her physical therapy and music therapy at Merwick Care and Rehabilitation Center. Outside of medicine, Sana is an avid dancer and saxophonist who has had the opportunity to play all around Germany and Carnegie Mellon Music School. Sana loves traveling, trying new foods, and watching movies. She can't wait to explore the world to create heartwarming memories for the future. Her speech title today is The Key to Your Career Success. I'm sure I'll learn something today because God knows I need it.
It is the end of August, and the wait is finally over. You have been waiting for this moment since childhood. It is time for college. A silent car ride, a chaotic unpacking of the bags, and a feeling of nervousness for meeting your roommates and roommates' parents. The parents have left now, and you can finally be that independent young adult that you've always wanted to be. There's no one telling you what time you could go to sleep at, what you can eat. Life is great. You step outside your dorm for a few minutes with your roommates and hear the jazz band playing, the cheerleaders chanting the school's anthem. Bouncy houses, axe-throwing bonfires, you are free. But back at home, it is not the same. It is the day after you have left from college, and your mom walks to your room at 9 a.m. sharp to wake you up. She knocks on the door and peeks in, but then realizes that she doesn't have to wake you up anymore. She runs downstairs, and out of a habit, she starts making blueberry pancakes, your favorite, but then realizes she doesn't have to cook your favorite meals anymore. The house is quiet. There's an empty chair at the breakfast table. She sits down in sorrow in that empty nest. I specifically want to talk to you guys about Rachel, a single mother with 2 twin boys. When Rachel's sons went to college, she dealt with severe depression. And her sons would not contact her because they thought they're in college now. They don't need to talk to their mother. But little did they know that behind that happy text Rachel used to send, there was always a feeling of loneliness. And little did they know that Rachel would cancel plans with her friends and instead stay at home and flip through photo albums and watch old baby videos. Her house was quiet, and she had no one to talk to. She had that big feeling of sadness, boredom, and anxiety because her sons were off to college. Since her sons did not contact her, it led up to her mental health to deteriorate. By having these negative social interactions with our family member, it increases the risk of depression, anxiety, and suicide. While having positive relationships with our family members does the complete opposite. There's many stories which show family members not supporting each other's mental health. That their mental health drowning is just a phase. But then what is that 46% of people in the world who have committed suicide because of bad mental health? And how much of that percent could possibly be because of family members not supporting each other? The problem Rachel dealt with was the lack of communication. Now, many think communication requires a 1 to 2 hour phone call every single day. But there are so many other forms of communication which could actually enhance the relationship. Once we get older, we get busy with homework, work calls, business meetings. There isn't enough time for these long calls. Let me quote myself as an example. When I went to college, I was the youngest child, and my parents dealt with the same exact thing that Rachel went through. That feeling of loneliness. But the one thing that kept our strong bond and relationship was that regular communication. When I went to college, I had the opportunity to call my parents every single day. And not just call, but have FaceTime. It was a refresher for me and my parents. But then midterms and finals began, and the call time decreased. But the one thing that kept me going was the small text of motivation. That small good morning text, or have a good day with 100 emojis next to it, or good luck for your exam text. That is what kept me going, and that is what most college students should value: reassurance from family members. We are not realizing that there could be a distance of an hour or 2 hours or even 7 hours, but the relationship with our family members still matters. And by having this distance, it can actually bring us closer. By not seeing each other every single day in the house, it is easier to come back during holiday breaks and create genuine memories and conversations. A mother holds a baby in her stomach for 9 months. After 9 whole months, there's a special connection. That early stage of bonding is so important, and we need to realize that. A child is born and becomes completely dependent on their parent. And then the child blossoms into this tween. We hear small tantrums, a few arguments, but nothing too bad. And then our teenage years. More arguments, assertiveness, fearlessness, arguments over not being able to hang out with friends, college apps, and then becoming a free bird. College. You have left all these arguments behind, and life is great. Going to college could be shocking to many, especially because we are surrounded by all different types of people. Especially people who think that the relationships we've created in our childhood and high school life won't matter later. Why do we even go to college? To become these independent young adults. Or many even go to college to experience all these new things, meet new people, that they become so self-centered that they forget about all the beautiful relationships they've created in their childhood. Just like Stephen Covey said, human life is interdependent. We can combine our talents and our abilities and create something greater together. Interdependent people combine their efforts with the efforts of others to achieve the greatest success. Either you're 18, 30, or 50, you are always going to be that small child to your parent. And without this interdependent bond from the start, we will not be able to see the most beautiful thing in life, the role switch. The most beautiful thing in life, where now the child will be taking care of the parent. Without this interdependent aspect, this would not be possible. It is very hard to keep these relationships There are always arguments, grudges, and many things involved. When you were a child, you weren't able to get your favorite Mario Kart video game that you've always wanted. When you grew up, you weren't allowed to go to the mall to hang out with your friends. And then college. You come back from a holiday break and feel that lack of freedom. But how would one react to this if they were interdependent? What are the benefits of all of these arguments and small grudges in life? By having these experiences with our family members, we are more able to resolve conflict, work as a team, and enjoy each other's company. Something that will play a major role later in life. College is a crucial time in life where we will be applying to jobs, internships, and be surrounded by all different types of people. We go to college to learn these critical thinking skills and how to be problem solvers. 2 skills which are openly asked in job descriptions. But there's still, what we fail to realize is that there are so many things these job descriptions don't say, yet we are expected to have. An example being having the right attitude towards the people around you. How will we learn to have the right attitude towards the people around you if we never had these strong bonds and relationships with our family members? That Mario Kart video game that you were not allowed to get is similar to not getting a job position that you've always wanted. That small rejection of not being able to go to the mall with your friends is similar to getting a project proposal not approved. And that small criticism you got for playing too many video games is similar to young recruits getting criticized at big companies by their mentors. The list goes on and on. It is not just these college students who need to understand the importance with our family members. It is quite literally anyone, even after college. Without these small inconveniences in life, how will we learn to take these rejections later in life in the corporate world? How will we grow if we don't know what it is like to have these small grudges? Companies are struggling with all these conflicts, and the practice of this comes from a small part of your life. And that is with the experiences and the strong bonds and relationships we have with our family members. Corporate jobs are complaining that employees are struggling with hesitations while sharing their opinion, not being able to work as a team, and so many other simple skills. Studies show that 85% of employees in the world struggle with conflict every day at work. Let's meet John, a boss at a company who dealt with one specific employee. Now, this employee was different from many other people. He always had a negative mindset. He did not work well as a team and was always arrogant. John tried helping this employee by encouraging him, but it did not work. Companies are spending over $275 million on employee engagement, and that is projected to rise over $1.5 billion over the next several years. And yet, employee engagement is at its all-time lows. These numbers are going to continue rising And the one way which we could stop this is by all of us realizing the importance it is to have good relationships with our family members. Not only by having a good relationship with your family members enhances the attitude towards the people you have around you, but it also enhances our problem-solving skills. A very important skill to have throughout life, especially in the corporate world. Many think that we learn these skills from high school and college classes, but it's not only from that. It's from what we bring from home to these workplaces. A skill which is not very easy to have, but jobs such as education, science, and healthcare all require. After college, we will be surrounded by all different types of people, especially people who are older than us. By having the ability to create a strong bond between a child and a parent, it is easier to go into the corporate world and be able to communicate with your mentor. It is easier to go into the corporate world and be able to communicate and help your mentor just like you did in the role switch. By having this interdependent bond throughout life and a successful life goal in mind, it would help all of our mental state and well-being. It is that simple relationship you have with your family members which determines how successful you will be in your career. Thank you.
You are a great storyteller. I want to tell you that. And keep it up. By listening to your story and the way you tell the story, I actually lost the idea you're trying to communicate. Because I'm not telling it as a critique, but that's the most important skill for a public speaking, is to grab their audience and keep it up. So, thank you. I have no questions.
Thank you.
I do though, but I don't disagree with anything that Ram said. So here's the thing. Now that very thought-provoking topic. Now, question is, intuitively one gets the connection between any manner of support that one can get and associated professionals with career success. Now, my question is around, have any empirical studies been done to actually link those to back with stats and data? So that will be one question. And I have another one. I can ask that now or I can come back to it later.
You can ask.
The second part is, what can be done if people are actually struggling as a consequence of lack of support? How does it manifest itself? That's one. And then the other part is, given some of the concerns around privacy and things like that, one can be very intrusive. So how can we reach out and help people? And how do you even recognize the signs? Sometimes it may not be there. So very different questions. I can repeat it another time.
Okay, so there are many studies done which show that it is not just our simple skills that matter at these workplaces. It is the relationships we build in the workplaces, right? And as a Gen Z member, once we go into the workplace, we try to work in a place which is best suited for us. And that doesn't just come from what we like to work on, what our passions are. It comes from the people around us. So I think the best way is by having these managers communicating with their employees. The relationships are so important between the managers and employees, but we're not realizing that. So to fix that, I think that there should be many gatherings and things like that instead of just individual workings, if that makes sense.
Thank you for that. And what about the part about any empirical data that's available to support the linkage between success and some of the struggles of lack of support?
I've not found as much data yet. So far, I've just found the increase in money that companies are spending for employee engagement. So that graph is completely going up, yet we are still seeing that employee engagement is at its all-time lows.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. You did a great job of talking about the importance of two important things of communication and relationships for any success, whether it's career or relationships itself. And one of the things you mentioned about Rachel's story, that Rachel was getting depressed and that her kids were not communicating. I think one of the things that occurs when kids go to college is the parents' worries that the kid's okay. And getting that simple call, even if it's just simple conversation or just a text, reassures the parent that the kid is okay. You don't have to worry. And there have been sad cases across the country because of the privacy and the rules that the parents haven't found out about the children's depression. And there have been suicides, across the country, and the ethics committees at various universities have battled with this issue of how much time went to communicate with the parents. And do you have any thoughts on that issue, about the school communicating with the parents when their child is going through severe depression?
I think that the best way would be the parent communicating with the child. Yes, the school could get involved, but it's always easier to talk to someone who knows you the best, and that would always be your parent. If you're not comfortable talking with your parents, that is another case. You can go to school therapy, and there's so many programs which could help. But as a college student, I think there should be direct contact with the parent and the child.
Yeah, one of the issues that came up with some of these cases that occurred was the child is shut down, the student is shut down because of the depression. There is no communication, not because they didn't care about the parent, but the depression took hold of their life, basically. And they were paralyzed. And there were telltale signs of deterioration. Should the school get in touch with the parent?
I think as a parent, it is their responsibility to see how their child is doing with that simple text of asking how your day went, or calling them and seeing how their day was, just so if a child is so far away from college, they don't feel that feeling of loneliness, and they know that their parents will always be there for them. Also, if they don't feel comfortable talking to their parents, most of us have siblings. I think siblings are a great way, friends are a great way, but if those friends and siblings are not contacting us, parents, I think they will do a great job communicating with their child.
That was a very emotional speech, and I wish my kids had heard you speak and take lessons from it. But, and I could be wrong in my interpretation of his speech, Sana, but it seemed like a lot of the onus in this exchange was on the child, right? It's the child recognizing the sort of positivity of the relationship. But in many instances, the parents themselves can have a negative relationship or a negative influence, right? There could be toxic relationships. What role do you think, or what awareness of this should be on the parents as well to try and manage this to the extent that it has such an influence on the children's lives?
As a parent, I'm always told that we never sleep with these grudges. We never sleep with these arguments. And if a parent ever has an argument, I think it's their responsibility to communicate with their child, no matter how old they are. Because as I said, once the parents grow older, there's going to be that role switch where the child will be taking care of that parent. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's important to note that you obviously have great parents, and I congratulate you for that. I'm not sure that's the norm anymore. Representing over 1,400 companies in my Chamber of Commerce, they're all struggling to find out what's the new norm. And certainly those family lessons that you're bringing into the workplace are phenomenal and will serve you well. However, how do you see that when you're working from home, when you've got your little cell phone and your laptop and you're not in the office, maybe you're in the office a day a week or 2 days a month, which I'm afraid might be the new norm. And how do you see communicating that way through social media?
Social media is a great platform to communicate. We have a family group chat, I'm sure most of you guys do, a way of communicating. It doesn't have to be just calls or texts. We send pictures all the time, every single day, so that my parents know what is happening when I'm 2 hours away from home. So I think social media is a great way to communicate with each other, and it doesn't just have to be those calls.
Are there any audience questions this time? No. That's all right. Thank you, Sana, for that wonderful speech.